Here's the deal. My luck with cars sucks. Here's a story for you guys. This happened almost 2 months ago already. I know I'm really late on making this video, but I figured I should do it anyway because it's gonna basically explain why you haven't seen any videos on the Jeep for about 2 months. So this was June 26th. Me and Josiah went mudding in the Jeep because it had just rained a pretty good amount. There was a bunch of mud down there. We were ripping through that bog, and I mean ripping through the bog, alright? We were going 40 miles an hour through that. It was a fun time, it was all well and good, until the drive back to Josiah's house. Now we got on the road and I noticed that my steering was pretty loose on the Jeep. Now it's usually already pretty loose steering, but it was a lot worse than it usually is. We originally thought the reason for it was because the power steering box was messed up, and that is a pretty valid theory because the steering boxes on those Jeeps are known to not be super great, especially at the age and the amount of mileage that thing has. So we were just sitting in the Jeep, kind of making fun of how loose the steering was, because it was honestly kind of fun having to turn the wheel super far to even get it to move. And then it started doing what felt like a very minimal death wobble kind of thing. Now, Josiah told me to pull over to the side of the road, but it went away, so I decided to just keep driving, and no more than like 30 seconds later, the front driver's side tire flies off the Jeep. So we're going about 65 miles an hour down the road. The tire flies off, crushes in the front fender, and the entire vehicle just kind of does one of these. You know, the front tire's gone, so we drop a pretty good amount. I managed to pull the Jeep over to the side of the road, and we get out and check the damage. We had originally thought that the tire had just blown off the rim, but as you see here, it's the entire thing that's gone. The wheel and the tire. Everything's just gone. Now, the studs weren't sheared off the hub, which was kind of surprising because that's something that would happen with my luck, but somehow all 5 of the lug nuts just made their way off of those studs and the tire went flying. I think the reason for this is because the torque wrench I used to torque those lugs down was out of alignment or out of spec, whatever you want to say, because the very next time I used that torque wrench, it fell apart. Straight up, the entire assembly up at the top just fell out of the torque wrench. But regardless of anything, the tire flew off the Jeep, so now I'm stuck on the side of the road. Josiah calls up his sister to try to get a ride back to his house to get his Jeep along with a spare tire, because the spare tire I had in the Jeep was not in the Jeep at the time of this, of course, right when I needed it, it wasn't in the Jeep. Josiah was walking up to the closest intersection so it would be easier for his sister to find him, but on his way up there, someone actually picked him up. He said that he saw the Jeep off to the side of the road, asked Josiah if he was with the vehicle, and he said he was, of course. So the guy actually ended up giving Josiah a ride back to his house, which was pretty nice of him. While Josiah's gone, getting the Jeep and the spare tire and some spare lug nuts and everything we needed to put the tire on, I see a cop flying down the other side of the road. Now I just think that someone's getting in trouble, you know? I was like, oh cool, look at that, the cop's flying down the road. About a minute later, the same cop pulls up right behind me, so I'm like, oh. Okay, let's see what happens here. The cop walks up to the Jeep, knocks on the window, and I open the door because, well, first off, the Jeep was turned off, and second, the windows don't roll down in that thing anymore. But I explained that to the cop and it was all good. So what I was told was someone reported that as a crash. And when someone reports a crash, they dispatch police, fire, and ambulances to the scene of the crash. And that did happen. I had about 4 cop cars, a fire truck, and an ambulance all at the scene, and I had to explain to them that nothing happened other than my tire flew off, and I'm not injured, and I was waiting for my friend to come back with a spare tire and some tools to put on the new tire. They were all pretty cool about it. They just ran my license, as is protocol for them, and then pretty much just packed up and left, and I just sat there waiting for Josiah. So Josiah gets back with the spare tire and lug nuts and everything I mentioned before, and we start trying to get the Jeep jacked up with the bottle jack that's in there. Now, unfortunately, the bottle jack wasn't gonna cut it for this job, so we went all the way back to Josiah's house to get an actual floor jack, and brought that back out to where the Jeep was, and put it up in the air and put the new tire on. And that's all well and good until you realize that the rotor behind that tire was pretty shaved down, as you would imagine, you know, sliding across the ground while I was going 65 miles an hour. So we decided to give the Jeep a test drive, just leaving the rotor how it was because we didn't have a spare one to put on there. Well, that's another cherry on top.
Oh yeah, but look now.
Yeah, my gosh.
Did you crank?
Yeah, so we just put the tire back on. Let's see how she drives with that shaved off rotor. This is great.
brakes are very soft.
Yeah. Well, you think it's good for the drive back to your place?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Now, the brakes in that Jeep aren't really all that great to begin with, and it did feel different, of course, but not as different as we were expecting, I guess is the best way I can put it. The plan was originally to just drive it back to Josiah's house and leave it there until I put a new rotor on it. Josiah offered to drive the Jeep and let me drive his 1996 Jeep Cherokee that you guys have seen in countless episodes of Colorado Off-Road. So that's what we did. We get about 2 minutes into the drive and Josiah gives me a call and says that we might as well just take it back to my house because the brakes didn't feel super sketchy. So that's what we did. We decided to just drive it all the way back to my house with one of the rotors shaved down, and we made it back just fine. And that's pretty much it. The Jeep's still sitting right in front of my house where we left it that night with the same spare tire because I have had no time to do anything to it. Hopefully within the next week or two I'll put a new rotor on it and maybe find that tire, but it's doubtful at this point considering that it was lost almost 2 months ago already. But that's pretty much the deal, guys. That's why there haven't been any videos on the Jeep in quite a long time. My luck with cars is pretty terrible. We had that happen with the Jeep, and then out in Missouri we had the 4Runner disaster, which if you want to find out more about that, just check out the videos I put up about it. It was no fun and it cost me a lot of money. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this quick video on what's been going on with the Jeep. As usual, if you enjoy, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Big shout out to Josiah for helping me out that night. As usual, guys, come back next Wednesday for another Spyro video, and come back next Friday for another normal video. But until then, guys, that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed it.